These guys on this team, they've got to wear this. 100% Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner have to wear this because they weren't good enough in the series to win. But you can't put since 1967 on these guys' shoulders. Like, that's what happens every year in Toronto. Hey, it is what it is. People are going to say they get paid a lot of money. Okay, fine. But don't be surprised when things like this happen, and then all of a sudden you're against Carey Price, Game 7, meltdowns all these years, and it happens again. It repeats itself.
It does. It seems to at least do that. But I thought you were going to go the direction of don't be surprised when players start backing away from wanting to play there.
There's many players that I know that are from Toronto like, I will never go play in Toronto.
Right. Wow. They give it the Heisman. That contract, I'll take it.
I'm good.
Yep, I'll find somewhere else to go. Look, it's an honor to play for the Leafs because they're one of the the glorious franchises in the game. It's also tough. Brutal. Yeah. I mean, there's some other words that I won't use on this family show because the pressure that is so significant. Every year is going to be the year. Every year the parade is planned early on, right, when they see it. And then got to remember, you got to get through the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And this team isn't built for the playoffs, flat out. We saw that last night.
Yeah.
They're not built for a long playoff run.
And apparently they're not built to come out in Game 7 with the fire and intensity that you need to, right, Jeff?
Leadership.
Yeah.
Rupper, you can speak to this even better, having been on teams that come out in Game 7. But I look at the leadership on that team, and I'm not just talking about Matthews or Marner, or I'm not just talking about the older guys in Spezza and Thornton. I'm talking there has to be that core leadership group.
Mitch Marner now adjust and live up to that contract and do it. Well, it's up to him. You do not get rid of those guys because you will go and look for those guys for years to come. And with that being said, this is a group here. When I always talk about compass guys, right? The compass guys. Who do you look to? Brendan Gallagher. That's the compass guy of that team. Mm-hmm. Let's go with some. You just ramble off a few of these guys that are in the playoffs. When I think of the Vegas Golden Knights, Mark Stone, Boston Bruins. Geez, you could pick a few. Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron. I mean, you could name a few, right? You rip through these teams of their compass guys. When we don't know or we need to be led, who do we look to? Who's that guy in Toronto? I don't know who that guy is. I know who their most skilled guys are.
Different.
It's different. And you can't ask those guys. The fact that Patrice Bergeron can wear both those pants is impressive. That's what makes him a Hall of Famer.
Right.
Not many guys. You got your scores. That's great. Who's the guys that are going to be beating the drum? You know, and this is how we're marching here. They don't have it.
Perfect example, besides a guy like Bergeron, who obviously I know well, having been there for years, working, covering them, but is also Gabriel Landeskog. He's never been the number one guy in Colorado as far as skill. He's always been the number one guy as far as will, though, and he's always been the guy, the compass guy, that guy whose eyes everybody turns to, because since day one, almost literally 21, right when he became captain there. He was the guy that everybody, both young and old, looked to lead them onto the ice. Yeah. And that's what they need. There's no question. That's what they need in Toronto.
Yeah, interesting. You brought up the skill versus will, because it certainly looked like the Canadians were willing themselves to victory. You can even go back to Game 5, right? They had to will themselves to victory in 3 straight elimination games, and they did that. Sorry, I don't want to... No, you're waiting to make a point.
No, I was going to say, go to the Byron goal that we showed in that highlight coming in. That's will right there.
Right.
Great skill. Right. But he wouldn't take no for an answer, Jamie. That's what that epitomized the series to me, that goal by Paul Byron.
The one thing I just want to throw in there, too, and you could say, well, isn't that why we went and got Nick Foligno? Isn't that why we got Wayne Simmons? Isn't that why we got Joe Thornton? Here's my thing. I've been in that position. When you go to a new team, you think that it's Jumbo. You think Jumbo can go in there and be like, this is my team now? It doesn't happen that way.
Right,
You've got to be entrenched. You've got to go through these experiences for years to get that, right? And to grow up in that system, come up through the Marlies, learn how to do it. It's a culture.
Yeah.
And yes, you went out there and got those guys, and those guys did their best. But those guys aren't going to come in here and be like, hey, listen up. I know you guys are in first place. I know you guys are up for President's Trophy, but I'm Nick Foligno, one of the best leaders in the game. This is how we're doing it.
Right.
That does not happen.
Yeah, at the trade deadline, 2 months ago.
Yes, so you can't chalk it up to that. It has to be something that is drafted, developed, and made an importance in your organization. They haven't done it over the years.
Well, let's not forget, and they did try, and we'll say that we do have that in John Tavares. Mm-hmm. But the injury, significant, and then somebody else has to step up. They're still the better skilled team than Montreal, but they didn't outwill them. They didn't even come close to matching that.